Nothing changes if nothing changes, y'all. If you're in a place in your life right now where you're looking for things to be different, if you want things to be better, or you're just simply unhappy with your situation, you need to welcome change. I know change can be uncomfortable, change can be difficult, but without change, there is no growth. And without change, things can't get better. So change is the one ingredient in the mix that is absolutely necessary if you want things to be different. Whether you want it to be better, improved upon, or whatever the case may be, you need to welcome change as that agent. And once you do start to craft your mind to understanding that change is actually the thing that brings the most difference, the things that bring the most improvement, and you learn how to embrace it, you learn how to welcome it, and you even look for it, man, it can create a whole new life for you, just like that.
Welcome to Unlocking Levels, helping you reach new levels of your potential.
What's good, y'all? It's your boy CL the Source, your friendly neighborhood hope dealer, back with another episode of Unlocking Levels. Thank you once again for tapping in. I'm glad y'all can join us. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about change. And what better way to do so than entering the new year with a brand new episode? This is the first episode kicking off 2024. And change, when that comes to mind for a lot of people, myself included for a long time, you think about discomfort, you think about challenges, you think about having to give up certain things. And really, it's the wrong way to look at it. You might be right in the sense that that's what you've kind of associated change with for a long time. And I certainly have done that myself. But if you think about it on a deeper level, change, not only is it inevitable, but change is the biggest agent of improvement. Change is the biggest agent of growth. And if you want things to be better in your life, you want to grow, you want to experience new things are going to have to change. Nothing changes if nothing changes. I love that quote. I heard that first from Theo Vaughn. If you break that down, it's a beautiful statement because honestly, all life is change. Things might feel the same, things might feel mundane, but no 2 days are the same. Everything's different. We're constantly changing within our biological frame every single day. Our minds are changing. We're aging by the day. Our bodies are changing. People around us are changing. Our environment's changing all the time. And once you realize that change is necessary in order for you to blossom, in order for you to grow into what it is that you're destined to grow into. And once you stop fighting change, you can welcome in a whole ton of growth. And with that growth, there's a lot of excitement behind that. New adventures, new people, new places, new experiences, and life, when you really start to look at it from that standpoint, can get super exciting. It can get even more beautiful. And what you'll slowly start to realize is that when things change, they're not always going to be pleasant, right? Let's not sit here and bullshit about that. It's not always going to be pleasant. But if you start to look at change from a more optimistic standpoint, all sorts of new, beautiful things can start to happen in your life. And we have the tendency, myself included again, we have the tendency to try to fight off change, want to keep things the same because there's comfort in it, right? There's a sense of security in it, but you're really just fighting off life. And when you embrace change, you open this door to a brand new realm of the unknown, the uncertain, right? And even that, just saying that sounds really scary. But if you're in a place right now where you're not 100% happy, you're not feeling content, you're not feeling a sense of fulfillment, guess what? Change is needed. And like I said, once you open that door and you begin to walk through that portal of change, you can begin to feel these improvements, feel these changes that bring about growth. When you learn how to trust yourself, and not only trust yourself, you trust the divine path that's laid before you, and you continue to walk that path with full faith, knowing that you're going to be taken care of, knowing that you can trust yourself to navigate through whatever life has to throw at you. then you begin to develop confidence. And regardless of what happens in life, as you walk the way, no matter how scary it gets, no matter how fearful you become, you have this faith that becomes bigger, that becomes stronger as you walk the way and you gain more and more confidence. Fear is such a strong player in this game. It can really just keep us in this stagnant position where we're not making any progress, where we're just cooped up in our own little bubble, where we're not really fully experiencing what life has to offer. And as cliche as this might sound, YOLO, you only live once. And with this life that we have, if we're not maximizing it, we're really missing out. We're leaving a lot on the table. And you may not be like me in a sense that I don't want to leave no stone unturned in this life. I don't want to leave anything on the table. I want to maximize this life to the greatest ability that I can and see what life has to offer. It's not going to be perfect all the time. I'm learning to take what's in front of me. I'm learning to find that courage and that bravery within myself to face life with a new sense of perspective and willing to just experience life head on, regardless of what happens. I face fear constantly. And in my most recent conversation with my brother Robert Prash, we talked about three of our biggest lessons. If I'm not mistaken, I talked about fear being an indicator. And when I feel in this fearful state, I'm using that as an indicator for me to push forward, for me to actually act upon that fear, act in spite of that fear. Now, I've said this before on multiple occasions where there's actual threats out there. There are going to be things out there that are looking to harm you, people that are looking to tear you down, people that are going to make you feel a certain type of way. But that's not the same thing as perceived fear. When you notice the difference from an actual threat, something that can actually harm you, versus a fear that's in your own mind, and you start to look at fear as more of this invisible ceiling, this invisible wall that's in front of you, that's preventing you from experiencing life in the way that is joyful, in a way that is fulfilling. Once you realize that it's only a illusion, then you get past that barrier. Oh man, life becomes so rich and you begin to free yourself from this mental prison where fear literally just keeps us in its clutches. And once you start to understand that and you move in that direction and you get used to that feeling and you start creating new experiences for yourself and create momentum, learn how to get into this flow state, man, life really opens up for you. And I can speak to that because I've approached a bunch of different fears in my life. There's no getting away from fear completely, but having the courage to act in spite of fear, having the bravery, right, to become more fearless. That's the goal, not letting fear imprison me. And I think when you live life that way, you begin to experience it in, like I said, such a rich way. Opportunities present themselves in front of you. People take notice to how you live your life, right? And you start to have more experiences that you're proud of, that you're like, damn, I did that. And it's a very rewarding feeling, right? And at the end of life, if you know you stacked up experience after experience, just like the one I described right now, I think you're going to look back at life and say you really had no regrets and you actually squeezed every last drop out of this life that you can. And you look back and be proud. And that's what I'm looking to do with my life. Now, I want to get to another level where not only am I fearless about how I approach my life, but I'm also giving myself an abundance of options, right? I'm working on things that are going to help me open up more options, more avenues to where I can experience life in a more richer, more fuller way. And I'm learning how to master this game, this life. And what I've really come to find out is that mastering this game of life really is all about mastering yourself. It's about telling yourself a command and following through on that command, right? A lot of that has to do with breaking past that fear in your own mind that's implemented. And look, that indoctrination of fear that we all have, it's deeply programmed within us, and it's not necessarily your fault because we were born into our situation. So Our situation is our situation. But when you become conscious of it, it's entirely your responsibility to change that, to make things better for yourself. You have this vision, you have this understanding of how life can be versus how life has always been. And it's up to you to make that life for yourself, right? Now, that's not for me to sit here and say that it's going to be easy. It's not going to be easy at all. It's going to take a lot of work every single day, just making progress, making strides, making leaps and bounds, but it can happen. And if you're consistent enough and you're working at it every single day and you're just chopping away every single day, you'll start to see the progress. You'll start to feel the progress in your life. Your life will become richer as a natural byproduct. But it's all how you do things in your life, how you perceive things, the commands you give yourself that you follow every single day. Obviously, change is necessary. Nothing changes if nothing changes. A lot of people, again, myself included, would say change is uncomfortable. I would want things to stay the same where things were simpler. And we tend to try to stay in that space for so long. And really, we're fighting against life because life is all about change. No 2 days are the same. We're changing all the time. Right now, as I'm speaking, time is moving. Things are changing within my body, within my brain, right? I'm aging, all sorts of changes taking place everywhere outside my window right now. Trees are growing, birds are chirping. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing change can be. But you have to craft your mind to really look at it from that standpoint, right? Change requires also sacrifice. Change requires also acceptance that this person that you see in the mirror or this person in your life is not always going to be the same. And it's interesting, right? Like, I don't want to drift off too far away from what I'm talking about here, but you think about it when you're in a relationship with somebody, right? You can be in this loving relationship with your partner. For instance, I had an ex-girlfriend. Um, we would spend time together all the time. We'd see each other every single day, right? We talk every single day. We become so attached to each other. We do things with each other all the time. And then when that relationship starts to approach its conclusion, its end, and all of a sudden you're in this space where that routine that you had with that person is no longer around and you feel like a sense of loss, right? And that change right there can seem very daunting. Nobody wants to experience that pain of that change, right? But it's necessary. And of course, in those moments, you don't want to think about, oh, all the different opportunities that lie ahead because you feel a sense of loss. You feel a sense of grieving because you lost that person. You feel like you lost that person. But man, if you can somehow manage to train your brain and get yourself out of that space mentally and tell yourself, like, man, all right, it is what it is. We had a great time. I'm always cherish those moments and I'm always going to have love for that person. But if you can train your brain to be like, all right, well, I got a new lease on life. I got some new things that I can go experience. Now, I don't necessarily have to think about somebody else when I'm making plans for myself, right? I know it's hard to do. It really is. But if you can somehow manage to tell yourself, like, this change is good, change is not a bad thing. Change can be good. There's a lot of fun, new, exciting things that come along with change if you simply train your brain to accept that, to know that, to believe that, and all sorts of things can happen. You can take that energy that you have and channel that towards creating a new life for yourself, creating new experiences for yourself. And with those new experiences comes new opportunities, new people, new places, a plethora of different things can happen for you. And it's very exciting, although scary at the same time. Again, it's about training your mind, programming your mind to understanding that there's a whole new world of opportunity out there. The only reason why you really feel sad, if you think about it, yeah, you feel like you lost this person and things like that. But really, it's because you're afraid of change. You've gotten so comfortable in that routine with that other person, and you've gotten so comfortable having that person as like a crutch, as a person that you can count on in your life. But Once you realize you literally own nothing in this life. Yeah, we might have people in our space and things like that, but you don't own anything. You don't own anyone. You don't own anything. So it's just like once you accept that, you can begin to introduce change as a new way of looking at things. Once you do that, you're able to let go of things a little bit more. You're able to understand the nature of life and the nature of change. And when you understand the nature of change, it can be more exciting for you. That's not to sit here and say that you're not going to go through pain. You're not going to go through trauma. You're not going to go through events in your life that are going to be challenging, that are going to push you. But you really set yourself up in the best ways by actually looking at change as a positive thing, as it's happening, right? And look, sometimes things are worth fighting for to keep the same, right? Like things are worth fighting for, but at the same time, you have to realize when to let go and when to move on and when to move forward. And when you do that, oh man, you take so much control back in your life. And when you have all that control over yourself, you can get yourself into that flow state more often. It's a really beautiful place to be. And that's why for me personally, I'm so excited about 2024 and what it has to bring. There's going to be a lot of changes. I got a lot of changes going on in my life, which I'll be transparent about as they happen. But I don't really like to talk about future plans that I have in place. But when things kind of fall into place, I'll be glad to share them. I'm an open book. I like to share my process with y'all. I like to share my progress with y'all. And it's part of me just being relatable because where I'm at right now isn't where I'm always going to be. I promise you, I welcome change. I think about change all the time. I think about how life is changing all the time, and I just want to be in the flow of that change, right? And I've noticed in myself that life gets way more abundant that way. I'm not necessarily bound to anything. I'm not necessarily fully attached to anything. And there's so much peace in that. There's so much freedom in that. But like I said, it's going to take work to really develop that within yourself, to craft that perspective within your own mind frame. But once you start to do that and you get past those initial barriers of that discomfort, that challenge, that pain, um, it could really turn into something better for you. And I can confidently say that because I can tell you from my own personal perspective that things have gotten so much better in my life. And you know, I've accepted myself. I know myself. I'm understanding the true limitless nature of my potential. And I'm just looking to bring that about in every which way for the rest of my life, really. You know what I'm saying? And just trying to make the world a better place while I'm here, y'all. And with that being said, I'm gonna leave y'all with that. Thank you for tapping in with your boy CL the Source. If you ain't already doing so, please hit subscribe on this channel and share it with your friends. 2024 is going to be a spectacular year, full of growth, full of changes, full of opportunities, full of new experiences. And I'm gonna be sharing it all with y'all. I'm gonna share all the different revelations I got with y'all, and I'd love to share it with as many people as possible. But if you're a supporter, a continued supporter of this, I love and truly appreciate y'all for tapping in. And yeah, I wish nothing but the best for all of y'all. All right. With that being said, till the next episode, y'all, peace and love.